Good afternoon, and welcome to the Boring Millionaire podcast. In this segment, School of Stock, I want to answer a very important question, and that is, what is a share of stock? So a share of stock is an ownership share within the company that is traded on the public stock market. So for this episode, I'm going to use Apple as the example. Currently, Apple is trading at around $2.55 a share. So if you wanted to buy one full share of Apple, you would have to buy it for $255 per the price between buyers and sellers on the public market today. But what you're buying is a share of the company. It's your share of the company. Now, again, with the same example, Apple has 14.8 billion shares that are on the public market. Now, they are held by people. They're currently being bought or sold, traded by people. So there is a lot of action going on, but that's how many shares exist in the market. So, of course, owning 1, 2, 3, 4 of them is only a little microscopic piece of Apple as a whole, but it is your ownership share of the company Apple. So no matter what public company it is, if you own shares of that company, it is quite literally your share of that company. You have ownership in that company. Now, again, whether it's Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, some of the biggest players in the world that we live in, you still own your share of that company. And in my opinion, that is what makes the stock market so great, is that its accessibility for any individual to own the companies that shape the world that we live in. And then just to piggyback on that thought, I am a big believer that you should be invested in the companies that shape our day-to-day lives and mold the world around us. They're clearly components in how we live, so you may as well own how we live. Just an example of that, basically everybody uses credit or debit cards, so own a share of Visa, own a share of MasterCard, and then that way you own what's going on in your day-to-day life. But the shares are important to consider because it is, like I said, ownership of that company. And through that ownership of that company, you do have voting rights in what these companies do. So again, on a real small scale level, even if you have 2 shares of Apple, you have 2 shares worth of voting rights to decide and dictate what Apple does. Now, granted, there are Warren Buffetts in the world who will own 10 million shares of Apple, and my 2, 3, 4, 5, your 2, 3, 4, 5 might not add up to the power of Warren Buffett. But whether you're major scale or whether you're minor scale, you own Apple and you own these companies. And that is the important part that I'm trying to highlight. You own this company, you're an owner of this company, and through that, you are owning the world we live in, the innovation we see in the world, and these companies that mold our day-to-day lives. Now, again, I just want to remind the viewers that we are investing in these companies for the long term. So again, let's use Apple. If you were buying shares of Apple today, it's because you anticipate 5, 10, even 15 years from now, Apple will continue innovating the world and continue shaping our lives. And then through that, your investment will grow over that long period of time. One more thought I do want to just put out there is you don't have to just buy a share of stock once. You could look at a company like Apple and say, every 2 months, I'm going to buy 1 share. And then over a longer tenure of time, 2 shares become 4 shares, become 8 shares, become 16 shares, and constantly investing over the longer course of time into the same company will build a bigger position in that company, a bigger ownership share of that company, and will continue growing your money for yourself. Let's not forget financial freedom is the American dream, but we do have to create it for ourselves. So investing in the stock market is, in my opinion, the most accessible and surest way of building that financial freedom. So if you want to learn more about financial freedom and how to build it for yourself, tune into the Boring Millionaire podcast, and you can find all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I'm also available on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and there, feel free to ask me any questions you might have about the investment world, whether you have questions about the stock market, picks in particular, investing in the general sense, or money overall. Feel free to shoot me a question because my mission is to make sure you feel confident about your money so you can begin building a better financial future for yourself. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.